So you probably have terrible posture right now. His shoulders are probably forward. You probably have back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, some sort of chronic pain because of it. So we're going to show you today something that most people don't even know is a thing, which is perfect posture. We all know we need to stand up tall and have our shoulders behind us and those types of things, but there are actually 5 points on your body that we can pinpoint and teach you how to use those in unison to where all of your joints are going to line up. They're going to be stacked on top of each other. It's the way that we are designed to move. Now, the first one is the one that most people think, look at us like we're a little crazy whenever we actually tell them about it. It's actually our toes. Now, you can't see Jake's toes in his shoes right now, but what he is going to do is spread his toes apart like you can your fingers. So we should have dexterity in our toes like we do in our hands. Unfortunately, we put a cast on our feet every single day and those muscles in our feet atrophy, but you can train them very well, and this is our foundation for our posture. So using these every single day is very, very important. So what we're going to be doing is Jake is just going to stand up with his feet shoulder width apart here and spread his toes apart and pick them up off the ground. And this is very difficult. Most people cannot do this without getting a cramp in their feet, but they're going to spread those apart as far as you can and grab a hold of the ground like you're trying to pick grass. So if you do this right now, whether you're sitting or standing, what you'll feel is a lot of tension on the underside of your foot. So the whole time we're doing the rest of his body, he's going to be maintaining that tension in his feet. Now, obviously, like I said, you can't see it, but that's what's going to be going on down here. And that is going to be very important for the next point, or else it won't work, which is going to be our knees. So our knees are actually just going to rotate outwards just a little bit. So we're not going to do it aggressively and put a ton of tension on the outside of our knee, but we are going to just a little small turn here, and that's actually, you're going to feel a little tension in your hips as well, which is our next one. But what that's doing is, Jake, if you could face that way for me, and again, I know it's kind of hard to see, and split your stance, so 1 foot forward. Whenever he has his toes in the ground and he rotates his knee, you can see a little bit of movement right here on the foot. That's the arch of our foot. Now, normally we have a shoe or an insole from Dr. Scholl's that does that for us, which actually makes things even worse because those muscles are having to do even less work. But with our toes in the ground and rotating our knee out a little bit, we create the natural arch in our foot that is like that suspension system for everything upstream. So that is very important. And go ahead and face it back this way. So we're going to have our toes in the ground, our knees are rotated out. Now here's the big one. Here is the one that everybody has that is just so bad. It's because we sit down all day. Because we sit down all day, our glutes and our hamstrings, these muscles on the back side of our body can't do their job, as well as the front part of our abs. And that is our hips. So our hips should be pretty much level. If we had a dowel rod going through our belt loops, it should be pretty much level with the ground, maybe a little bit tilted down, but most of us have our hips pointed down this way. So our hips are pointed downwards and we have all this pressure in our low back. So what Jake's going to be doing is picking his hips up from underneath of him. So we have a perfectly level hip here. And what that is doing is it's turning on his glutes and his hamstrings here. And again, he's getting all this tension from his feet. So he's anchored down here. So when he does that, all that stuff is not moving. It's staying nice and stable. So what we're getting here is all this pressure is coming off of his low back. So instead of it being all crunched up and then we walk, all that tension is going right here. That is nice and tight and stable, and then if we do any exercises from this position, all that stuff is going to be lined up. So if you want to, go ahead and face this way. So we got our toes, our knees, and our hips. Our hips are nice and level. They're not sticking our butt out super far. Hips are underneath. Now the next piece is going to be our shoulders. Most of us, and when you started watching this video, you probably did this. That's probably the first thing you thought of, which is your shoulders. So most of us, because we type all day at our desk, or we're down on our phones, or we're cooking dinner or whatever, we have this this forward rotation, this rounding of our spine, this inward rotation of the shoulders. Shoulders are forward in front of the ears. So the next point we have, these bottom three, is going to be rotating the shoulders around the body, getting the chest extended up in the air, and then the shoulders are going to be behind or in line with his ears right here. So go ahead and show us really bad posture that way. So we're going to rotate around the body, chest up tall, and then when you're training, you can exaggerate this position. So really not just getting lined up, but really getting super nice and tall and strong. So we can see from now, his ankle, his knee, his hip, and his shoulders are all in a nice straight line. Now the last piece is actually our head. So we're going to take this chin and actually bring it back just a little bit. And again, now we can see the head is right over, stacked on top of the spine here, and we are in a perfect straight line. So Jake has his shoulders pulled back, his chest is up tall, the neck is back, and his hips are level, knees are rotated out a little bit, and toes are tight in the ground. And this is perfect posture. This is how we want to do our day to day. Now, if we want to reach for something up on the top shelf, if we're going to bend over and grab hold of something, the difference that we're going to get from this position. So if I bend down to tie my shoe, for example, if I'm, we have a perfect example of Jake here. I'm going to step kind of in line. This is how most of us stand versus here. So Jake, go into bad posture real quick. You can see the difference, and you saw all these muscles relax, all the tension from the weight of his body went on his spine, went on his low back, went on his knees. So when we do this all day, we move around, get the impact from the ground, reach up in the cupboard, we sweep, whatever we do, that huge difference is what causes this chronic joint pain. It causes all these muscles that were just turned on a second ago to atrophy and go away. So no, go ahead and go into perfect posture again, Jake. You see all this turned on. When this stuff is weak, because it's turned off all day long, then you get a really bad muscle imbalance front to back. These muscles are strong and tight. These ones are weak and loose and cannot support this joint. That imbalance causes things in here to rub, whatever, and that's the same for the shoulders, the neck, the hips, the back, all the way down our entire body. So one more time, just to recap, our toes are gonna be nice and tight in the ground. We're gonna rotate our knees outward. We're gonna get our hips level. We're gonna squeeze our butt muscles just a little bit. Chest is up tall, shoulders are rotated around the body and behind, and then our chin is coming back and our head is stacked right over top, and that is perfect posture.